All right, peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back to the STEM Files, where we serve as the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. On tonight's episode, we are going to be talking about how much of the useful land, this is a special weekend edition of the STEM Files, where we're building with Dr. Ridgely Mumeen, Student Minister of Agriculture for the Nation of Islam. How much of the useful land? We'll be discussing how to find useful land and how to make land useful if it's not. Other topics will include soaring egg prices, the 9 ministries, and so much more. Stay tuned for more after this.
Believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teach men, we teach them heavy.
All right, once again, family, welcome back to the STEM Files. We serve as the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. We're usually on Thursdays, but tonight we are on a special weekend edition of the STEM Files, where we are sitting down with our Student Minister of Agriculture for the Nation of Islam, Dr. Ridgely Mumeen. Now, we are waiting for him to come on. I believe he's having some slight technical difficulties, but we're going to keep the show pushing. I'm one of your hosts, Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I'm a biomedical research scientist with a concentration in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. I'm the chief operating officer of our parent company, Original Man Scientific, and I'm excited for tonight's show. Let's get it, bro.
Yes, sir. Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. I'm also excited. Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrillion Engineer. I'm a civilian mechanical engineer for the United States Navy with a focus on naval ship fluid systems and a background in material science and engineering, the study of the various material classes and how their structures can impact a number of different applications, whether you're trying to make an item or an asset stronger, faster, more efficient, lighter, etc. I'm very, very excited to have our brother on as we talk about how much of the useful land in a time where more than ever we really need to have some land of our own that we can cultivate and really start to have some level of sovereignty and self-determination with the land at its basis. So very excited. We should have our brother on very soon. And we're going to get into some much needed topics of discussion. So stay tuned, family.
For sure. And Jabril, let me ask you something. So what are you most excited about tonight's show? I'm just kind of getting a feel of where your mind is right now, beloved.
Yes, sir. One of the things, well, I'm most excited for Dr. Ridgely's energy. I think one of the biggest things, whenever we've had him on before, whenever he talks, whether it's at a workshop, Saviors Day, whatever, he speaks with a sense of urgency, but you can also know how passionate he is and how knowledgeable he is. So I'm excited to, feel that from him, feel his spirit. But also, I'm really excited to see in his mind how he's responded to the current atmosphere, if you will, or environment surrounding agriculture in today's world, whether it's, big CEOs or what have you, buying up lots of land so they can have some level of control. What we should be doing as believers, what we should be doing as Black people and people in general in terms of finding useful land, cultivating that land, and having it, whether we're going to build on it, whether we're going to farm or, plant on it. Where's his mindset currently as we are in this current schema? So I'm very excited about that, and then learn some things I can do, right now in my current situation as I strive to build a reality for myself, my family, and my community and nation. So that's what I would say I'm most excited about for tonight.
Facts. Same, bro. And I think the last time Dr. Ridgely was on the show was 2018, and he was one
It was
of
a little bit.
our he was one of our first guests outside of the Blog Talk Radio era, right? So for those who are new to the STEM Files, when we left Blog Talk, we got onto YouTube and we were using Google Hangouts as our platform or what have you. And we were talking to, it was a really heavy conversation on the 9 ministries, right? And for those who are unaware of what they are, these 9 ministries are like the governmental departments of the Nation of Islam, and they will serve as service-based entities for our communities, right? So in this particular episode, I really look forward to him expounding upon the 9 ministries, his role in the 9 ministries, the Ministry of Agriculture, what all of that entails, and how to fully understand the term minister. To minister onto someone or to a group of people. What does that truly mean? So I'm excited about that. So family, as soon as the tech issues are dealt with, we'll have our brother on the screen. But for right now, let's go ahead and let's talk about the crowning event of Black History Month, bro, Savior's Day.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. So, family, if you don't know, now you know. We know every year we have Black History Month in February, but little to no, more on the side of no, time is given and no energy is dedicated to talking about the Nation of Islam in any real significant context outside of what we may hear about Malcolm X, but we don't hear anything about the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and certainly nothing of Master Fard Muhammad. So we point to Savior's Day in the Nation of Islam, the commemoration of the birth anniversary of Master Fard Muhammad, God in person, our Savior who came 9,000 miles seeking to save that which was lost, the lost child. Nation of Islam in the West, the so-called American Negro. This year's theme is the War of Armageddon has begun. That great battle in the sky that's both physical as well as mental and spiritual, warring for the hearts and minds of the people. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan speaks Sunday, February 26th, out of Chicago at the Wintrust Arena. Tickets are still available. If you desire to be a part of that physically, you can go to NOI.org and go to Savior's Day, and you can see the layout of ticket prices, registration. Inshallah, there'll be not only the believers there and guests, but you'll have a number of workshops, activities. There should be a NOI historical exhibit where you can kind of walk through a bit of the history of the Nation of Islam. There'll be a children's village where the young people can go and have a good time and in a sanitized environment. Overall, it's our glimpse of the hereafter, our glimpse of Wakanda for those who like that term. But that topic, the War of Armageddon, has begun. We really have to understand the time that we're in. And I know a lot of us can get a bit tired when it comes to trying to dedicate our lives to something of righteousness, trying to be consistent, and whether it's something of financial, mental, spiritual development, or what have you. But, to live a life diametrically opposed to the microwave society that we're in, or the instant gratification society, or just to kind of move as you feel as opposed to being duty bound to something greater, is really no easy feat. But I encourage all of us who are striving to be wide awake and are striving to live a life that's meaningful, to stay the course and to align yourselves with those who think like you in the best of manners, but also are thinking beyond you and where you're trying to be. Get yourself around like-minded individuals to help build in a better way, in a better manner, so that you can be effective in whatever it is you want to do. So
absolutely.
Stay vigilant, family.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, beloved. And for those who would like to click on the link directly to register for Savior's Day or for more information on Savior's Day, you can click the link in the description on YouTube and then, of course, in the caption on Facebook Live. But family, we are anxious to hear from our brother. Like we said before, this is how much is the useful land. This is a very important topic because us as a people need to be able to not only find land, but know what to do with it when we find it. So let's go ahead and gear up for that. Put in the comment section if you're watching. Can't wait. So just go ahead and type the words "can't wait" if you can't wait to see your brother come on the screen and share with us the time and what must be done, especially as it relates to agriculture. So go ahead and put in the comment section "can't wait."
Uh-oh, trying again. Here we go. Maybe this time's a charm.
Sir Doc, can you hear us?
I think his feed is still coming through.
Yeah, it's the feed. All right. We got Assalamu alaikum, brother Elijah, out of Philadelphia, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Akabir Squad.
Yes, sir.
We got the beloved queen of one half of the STEM file, Sister Khalifa, chiming in.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sister Zatima right here in Richmond, Virginia, who's over the Ministry of Agriculture in the city of Richmond. She can't wait. Brother Ahmad can't wait. The Queen can't wait, beloved. And X-Man can't wait. Praise be to Allah. We're looking forward to this.
Yes, sir. If I may, beloved,
Yes.
inshallah, Allah blesses our brother to come on. I will be remiss. I think this is a great time to kind of just pull this out as like a, launching pad as the template for today's show. So in our Supreme Living Lessons given to us by Master Fard Muhammad, we have our student enrollment rules of Islam. This is the following questions must be answered 100% before submittance of student to said lesson number 1. For those obviously in our Nation of Islam, we are familiar. If we are not, these lessons help to orient our minds on what is true, right, and exact. And we have a few specific lessons questions I want to bring out. And question number 6 is, what are the exact square miles of useful land that is used every day by the total population of the planet Earth? Number 7 is, how much of the useful land is used by the original man? 8 is, how much of the useful land is used by the colored man? For those who don't know, the colored man is the Caucasian, white man, or Yaqub's grafted devil. More information, you want to tap into NY.org.
Yes.
So those answers, right, to number 6, those answers are the useful land that is used every day by the total population of the planet Earth is 29 million square miles.
Yes, sir. I was going to answer for you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I get excited with this.
So here we go. How much of the useful land does the original man use?
The original man uses 23 million square miles. Let's go.
How many square miles does the colored man use?
The colored man uses 6 million square miles.
6 million square miles. We have that number 6 again for those who study. You know what that number 6 means. So that kind of helps shape what we're thinking about. We have that much useful land that we use as original people, but what are we doing with it, right? What makes land useful, right? And then how does useful differentiate, or that term differentiate, or its meaning, depending on what it is that you're trying to do, right? So that's some of the things, inshallah, we'll try to answer and delve into tonight.
Oh, here we go. Right.
Oh, we might have Doc.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off, beloved. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear us okay? Doc, can you hear us?
Brother Dr. Ridgely, can you hear me, sir? We can't hear him. He may be able to hear us.
Okay. Hold on. We can't hear you, sir. Yes, sir. You might use some headphones.
Thank you for your patience, family. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. We are getting it done.
No, sir. We still can't hear you.
if you have headphones, brother Dr. Ridgely, if you can connect them, that might be most effective if you're able to. I'm not sure if you can hear what I'm saying right now, though, beloved. Hmm.
Jabril, hold on for a second. Hold on.
Absolutely, no problem, bro.
Hold on, Dr. Ridgely. We're going to work it out. Hold on. Jabril, I just sent you a message. All right, family. Thank you all for tuning in. I just got off the phone with our guest. Unfortunately, there's a rainstorm passing by his area, and that is affecting his internet connection. So tonight's show will have to be, well, Dr. Ridgely's portion will have to be postponed until a later date. Unfortunately, where he's at, the area that he lives in, the rain very negatively affects the internet. So that's what was going on. You know, we were having some slight internet difficulties, but inshallah, we'll have our brother back, and we got to pay attention to that forecast in his area, so that we
Right.
know, we can actually air a program with our brother. But for those who are watching, we do sincerely apologize. Um, we would like to offer those who are watching an opportunity to come back and hear Dr. Ridgely at a later date. If you want to make sure that we send you as much information as possible, and when he's returning, just go ahead and drop in the comment section. Come back, and we'll make sure that you personally get a new invitation to our rescheduled episode. Jabril, you got anything?
Absolutely. So obviously, this platform, whether you watch on Facebook or YouTube or Inshallah, as we strive to expand to future platforms or additional platforms as well, would not be possible without you all who watch, comment on and share our content. We've been doing this for several years at this point and improving every step of the way. It's definitely not easy. We have highs and lows as it pertains to what we're going to do differently, who we're going to bring on, but we appreciate your support, watching, sharing, donating, and we ask if you or someone would be a dope addition to the platform. If you like to guest host or come on and actually be a guest on the show, you can DM us, and we have a form you can fill out to schedule your session. And
Right.
we are really looking forward to expanding the content. One of the things I'm actually very, very much looking forward to connecting with, and I think will be a great asset to the show, is if you or someone is an expert in an enthusiast in the realm of AI, that is artificial intelligence. That will be a great asset to the show. There's a lot of conversation about things like Chat GPT, different
Nice.
chatbots, and things that are making people's lives more systemized. I won't necessarily say easier, but systemized in this time. And we know from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, if we do not do our best to keep up with modern technology or bring things to the modern time, we will be left behind. So AI is something very much dope right now, and we desire to understand more of and be able to get that content out to you all. Obviously, for those who are at Savior's Day and just want to connect with and build with your brothers, both inshallah, myself and Brother Tariq will be present in Chicago.
Right.
We'd love to, just as your brothers meet, talk, you'll hear your comments and things you like about the show. Just build with you anything you'd like us to kind of consider when it comes to building the show. Again, we really appreciate everything because we're your little brothers in this process, but we want to do the best that we can to continue to deliver awesome, dope, and dynamic and educational content. So really
Right.
appreciate you all, and I mean that's all I can say. But Tariq.
I mean, we still want to go ahead and do those plugs real quick.
Oh yeah, of course,
Just
of course.
we still have we still have a lot of things that we wanted to share with the audience. So first and foremost, we are big on Black business, right?
That's right.
And before I do that, let's go ahead and say a quick prayer for our beloved family in Georgia. That's where Dr. Ridgely is with our nation's farm. And we pray that he and his family are safe during the storm or whatever natural weather, whatever inclement weather is going on down there. All right. So family, let me see here. So we are big on Black business, right? We are a Black business ourselves, and we know the importance of having the Black dollar circulating in the Black community, right? And staying in the Black community as long as possible. Just like YouTube's algorithm, is to keep you on YouTube as long as possible. The Black Business Dollar algorithm is to keep the Black dollar in the community for as long as possible, family. So we want to go ahead and highlight a Black-owned business. First and foremost, let's go ahead and play a quick video of River City Market in Richmond, Virginia. Check it out, family. All right, family. Thank you so much for watching that beautiful and well-made promotional video for the River City Market here in the city of Richmond, Virginia. That is owned by our very own sister Zatima X. She is the point of contact for the Ministry of Agriculture. She also is the student directress of Muhammad's University of Islam in Richmond, in Muhammad's Mosque number 24. She's one of the most productive believers that we have and have ever seen in Richmond. I love everything she does. She's a firm supporter of the STEM files. And I used to actually teach at the university before it was an MUR, back when it was Respect for Life. So I'm very familiar with the work of our beloved sister and her family. And her son is in my squad, Brother Akil. And, you know, it's just it's a beautiful thing what that family has done and is doing for the believers and the community in Richmond. Also, too, they got bean pies. So if you are interested in the Supreme, if you're interested in the Supreme bean pie or whatever products you can think of, wholesome organic products, please visit your neighborhood grocery store, your River City Market. Eat to live, live well. Believer discounts, 50% off Sundays, free delivery to mosque on Sundays, free 1 pound bag of navy beans on first store visit. So it's a lot of incentives going on here.
Perks the membership. Wait a minute.
Right.
Perks the membership.
Store hours are from Sunday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. 16 West Brooklyn Park Boulevard. A lot of the soldiers push the Final Call newspaper on Brooklyn Park Boulevard. So it's a very prime location for Black Richmond. It's one of the most popular areas for Black people in the city of Richmond. So definitely go ahead and check that out. For those who are watching, I'm sure we have a lot of Richmond audience members on the line. Even if you're in DC and you just want to come through and see what's up in Richmond and you want a Black-owned supermarket to support, please visit River City Market. Jabril, did you want to talk about this week's edition of the Final Call?
Yes, sir. It's so funny. And I also have before we close, a question for you involving useful land. I just thought.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and play our promotional video for the Final Call.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
right, Jabril. So this week's edition of the STEM File, not the STEM Files. This week's edition of the Final Call Below. What's going on?
Yes, sir. Family, if you don't know, I'm going to say it again. Now you know, as Muslim followers of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the honorable minister Farrakhan, the Final Call newspaper is the flagship news source, flagship product of the Nation of Islam. It is
Yes,
a
sir.
message dedicated to the resurrection of the black man and woman in America and the world. It is a great source of good news you can use for all of humanity. For your latest edition, digitally, go to finalcalldigital.com to get us into your phone, tablet, or laptop every week. Follow at Final Call Newspaper on all platforms. This week's edition, marked for death. I know what y'all saying. Why y'all always got these negative topics and title pages for Final Call? The Final Call is meant to bring you face to face to the time and what must be done. I'm gonna say it one more time.
It ain't always negative.
It ain't always, and it's not always negative. But
Right.
sometimes things may seem a bit like, oh, I could have done without this. No, you couldn't. You need this. This is good medicine. So Martin Luther King says, what must be done to save our black boys and young men, keep them safe, and nurture and guide them to ensure their future and ours? You know, there's a lot of male relationship or male manosphere, if you say, content on social media today about, you know, supposed male self-improvement and things. You know, men, black men, but men in particular are going through a lot, and you have people who are, you know, trying to gear men in a particular direction, some which is good, but a lot of it which is misplaced. But one of the biggest things that we have to understand is we have to give our black young men, first off, a knowledge of who they are, first and foremost. Secondly, a knowledge of who their God is and who their God is not. Thirdly, we have to give them a thorough knowledge of their enemy, very real, who he is, who he's not. And lastly, the time and what must be done. If you don't have those 4 core knowledges that will lead to wisdom when applied, then you're really out here barely treading water. And young black men in particular don't want a God that cannot help them with the very issues, a lot of times very much physical or carnal, that they face every day. So if this guy you're presenting to me can't help me get out of poverty, feed myself, put some money in my pocket, you know, free me from this anxiety, make me feel like I'm, you know, someone in my own life, my community, then I don't really want it. So get your latest edition of the Final Call newspaper. If you want it physically, you can tap in with myself. If you're in the Philadelphia area, become a one in my growing customer base. If you're in Richmond, Virginia, you can tap in with Brother Tariq and become one of his customers in his growing customer base. The Final Call newspaper family, get some good news you can use in this great and trying time.
Yes, sir. You mentioned something about self-improvement, right? So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is big on
great segue.
Self-improvement study guides. Self-improvement is the basis for community development, right? In order for us to truly take advantage of what Allah has put in us to do for ourselves and our community, we have to improve, right? We can't stay in the physical, mental, and spiritual conditions that we in and expect our communities to change. It just doesn't happen that way. It has to start at the root, and the root is you. So in order for you to understand, in order for us to really do the 9 ministries, in order for us to minister unto someone or to bring somebody up out of the gutter, we have to improve self. Self has to come first. We can't expect to build a nation or to build a world, and we ourselves are just not where we should be. We're not up to par. And when I say up to par, I'm not saying this is a start and finish kind of thing, because self-improvement never ends.
That's right.
It's going to continue to go. So as long as we stay in the process of self-improvement, of self-development, we can begin to see the type of world that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teach us, has taught us for decades. So family, if you're interested in self-improvement, study guides volume 1 and 2 are $20 a piece. finalcallstore.com. It's store.finalcall.com. You can text the number on the screen. Very valuable information for you and your family. All right. Jabril, there was something you wanted to ask me. You said something about useful
Yes.
land.
Yes, sir. So, I was thinking about tonight's topic, and I know we weren't able to have our brother on, but I did think we could talk a bit more about this. You mentioned self-improvement, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that land is the basis of freedom. And
Yeah.
if you want to self-improve, obviously there's a lot of internal work you can do, but a big part of your improvement individually and familially, communally, is in your ability to control your environment. So when we talk about land acquisition and building on the land, I wanted to kind of get inside your head as my personal resident Navy being expert, right?
Right.
So, obviously, if you're going to utilize Navy beans, you have to have a good, ready supply of them. If whether you're eating, using them topically for some type of nutraceutical, what have you. So if
Right.
you are out looking for land and your goal is to cultivate, cultivate Navy beans, what might be some things that you're looking for, / what might be some questions you ask if you meet someone who has land and you're striving to acquire that land? What might be some things that make the land useful for your purposes, being someone who's striving to plant, grow, and cultivate Navy beans for different purposes?
Well, first and foremost, the Navy bean, along with, and George Washington Carver taught us this, the peanut and the soybean. These things are in a class of family called legumes, right? The beans, the peanut, the nuts, and different things like that. So there's a lot of things that growing the bean itself can do to the soil, due to the condition of the soil that it may not have already been in prior to you planting the beans, right? So first and foremost, and I'm just going out and randomly into the community, right? You don't want to be in a dry, barren area, right? You want to be in an area that it doesn't have to be 1,000% moisture or what have you, but it needs to be an environment that is conducive for water to run through it, or it needs to be able to rain, not on a regular basis, but on a normal basis, right? So, those are the things environmentally you're looking for. Your backyard, most of the houses in Richmond, Virginia, and Philadelphia, these are the types of climates that the Navy bean thrive in. Places that are not so much close to the equator in desert, but closer to the equator in terms of enough moisture being in the air and in the land. So now, one of the things that these beans do is they're able to fix their own nitrogen, or pull nitrogen from the atmosphere and put it into the soil, right? So nitrogen, for those who don't know, is like God to the soil. It is one of the things that the soil must have to grow a plant in a healthy state. So we're looking for things like that, but the chemical side and the biological side, that's easy. What you want to be able to do when it comes to planting the Navy bean is have the mind to farm, or the mind to plant crops, whether in your backyard, in a community garden, or what have you, hoop house, whatever you can think of. The mind and the spirit to grow is really the prerequisite to do anything. If we don't truly understand that farming is the engine of our national life, and that without farming, you really don't have a basis to be independent from your open enemy, then the things that you want to see in terms of growing your own food and having the different things that you need, it won't be there because you don't understand what that entails, right? So spiritual, of course, being able to know what to do biologically and chemically with the environment, that's just the easy part. But being able to spiritually and mentally focus on growing something, that's the key.
So a couple things. You mentioned a number of things, but You talked about having the mind to farm.
Right. And just, before you continue, family, for the audience members, I'm not the guest. So if you're just not coming in, I'm not the one that we promoted. But
we building though. We're gonna keep
Yes,
moving
sir.
down this line. So you talked about having the mind to farm as it pertains to Navy beans, really anything for that matter. And
Right.
one thing that my mind went to is if you're going to cultivate a specific mental state, you have to be willing to indulge in or eat and digest specific mental food. So
Right.
if we go back to our Supreme Wisdom lessons, Lost on Muslim lesson number 1, question number 7, it says, why does the devil keep our people illiterate? And the answer is so that he can use them for a tool and a slave. He keeps them blind to themselves so that he can master them. Illiterate means ignorant. So you can't be one who desires to make land useful or be productive on useful land in any capacity if you're not a reader, if you're not a researcher, if you're not willing to, for lack of a better word, break your current self to birth a new self consistently. Because if we're going to be consistently successful, we have to constantly or never be complacent with ourselves as we are at any stage of development. We have to be ever evolving, right? So would you say, based on the comment about adding nitrogen to the soil, that growing navy beans has a added pro or an added benefit to other crops you might plant and or animals you may raise? And if so, what would some of those benefits be in those veins?
Yeah, so the main one is the oxygen, right? You know, the soil, in order for it to properly, so think of it like this, right? When you're fasting, right? In order to properly fast, or in order to receive the full benefit of your fast, you have to intake the right foods, right? You can't say you're fasting and then everything you ate 7 days, everything you ate 2 or 3 days before that has been junk. You know, then you're just defeating the purpose of the fast. Your body needs to have fuel to fast, right?
Right.
So that's the same thing with the soil. So when the navy bean is planted, or when other crops that can fix nitrogen is planted, it allows other minerals and other elements to be absorbed because the soil is healthy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So the other different types of compounds can be absorbed, like your just off rip, zinc. You know, zinc is in the soil. A whole lot of other elements in the soil. But in order for these things to properly take effect on the plants, it has to be healthy itself first. And that's what the beauty of fixing nitrogen comes into play here. You know, so if you're planting a tomato, not so much a tomato, man. What grows well with the navy bean?
Take your time.
Man, it's so much. I'll come back to you on that, but yeah, you know, it's a lot of benefit to it. But in order for the soil to fully do what it has to do, even with water and hydration, right? In order for the water to properly diffuse through the soil like it should, it has to be in the right state of condition. And that's what the beauty of the navy bean does, and things that other plants that fix nitrogen for the soil.
Right. So I guess one of the things I'm getting, you know, and again, I'm going back to that question again. For those who may have just joined us, our dear brother, Dr. Ridgely McMean, is going through a bit of a storm down south where he is, and he was unable to be on, but we are kind of plumbing some topics ourselves along this same broader topic. So thank you for those who stuck on with us.
Right.
When I think about useful land, you know, I'm almost coming to the reality that it's based in a mentality, it's based in a mindset at its core. Because on a very physical level, whether you're growing stuff in your apartment, in a larger home, on your lawn, on several acres, you can do a lot with the requisite knowledge base, whether you're growing something in a aero or aquaponic type system on your windowsill under a certain color light.
Right.
I know my mother has
Sunlight's a big deal.
something
Yeah.
like that in her home. You know,
Yeah.
so I think the land or the material that we have to make useful first is the brain or the mind, because regardless if the land, if physical land or dirt or soil is useful or not, we won't see the potential for it, or we won't see the use for it at all if we have not primed our mind first.
Yeah, and you know another thing too. Oh, go ahead, bro.
No. Go ahead.
And another thing too, we also have to take into account, right? Is you know, it's a beautiful thing when you can condition your mind to want to farm and to want to grow things in your house or what have you. But one of the aspects of preparing your mind is education, right? So Booker T. Washington, he he documented very well the desire or the lack of desire for the black man and woman to farm, right? Because of how we've been conditioned from physical chattel slavery all the way up to now, the mindset to farm is just not there generally in the black community, right?
Right.
So you have to teach black people the importance of farming. You have to go out into the community. Matter of fact, we had a guest a few months ago, Sister Melody, right?
Right.
And she talked about the importance of going out to the community, door to door, going to the people where they are and telling them, okay, look, this is the beauty of farming. This is the beauty of setting up a garden in your backyard, in your neighborhood somewhere, down the street or what have you. You know, we don't really know what can be done in our backyards or at the park across the street or what have you, because there's no one going to these people telling them that farming, unless you're Seed or Sister Melody or the Ministry of Agriculture, who are really going, and these are just examples, who are really going out to the community and telling these people that, look, this is what can be done. These are the possibilities. You know, you have to minister onto people. Ministering is pastoral, it's guidance, it's showing people what can be done, you know, looking out for people. That's what ministering is all about. And that term, young people, especially in I can't believe I'm saying young people as if we're not still young.
Yeah, be
careful.
But
right. Young people who are 10, 15 years younger than us, you know, when they hear the word minister, they automatically think about church or a pastor or a preacher or what have you. And that's part of it. But ministering is literally administering something onto someone or for someone, right? So when you have somebody that's a minister of agriculture, he is administering agriculture or providing a service of agriculture. When you hear minister of health, they are administering or providing a service of your healthcare needs, right? Same thing for all the other non-ministries: education, defense, justice, education, science and technology, trade and commerce, you know? So that it's the going out to get our people, really the blueprint of what an FOI does. Going out with the final call, the door to door. It's the same thing. Being able to give service to our people.
Right.
So it's our fault too.
Right. And I think when you just talked about service, and that's really when, going back to useful land is only useful if it provides a service to you.
Yeah,
and
it's got to serve
that
you.
service must be applicable to your situation.
Yeah.
Right. I can look at a hammer and have a hammer in my hand all day, but if I'm looking at a screw, no matter how much that hammer is not going to be a screwdriver. Now I can try to finesse it and make it that, but it'd be a lot easier if I get a screwdriver. And at that point, I need a flat or a Phillips head. So I say that to say, when we talk about useful land, right? You know, you look at land differently if you're going to plant, if you're going to have animals, if you're going to have a home, if you're going to have some level of recreation or camping, what have you. So some of the things you might want to look into when you're just looking at land in general is, okay, zoning laws. Is there a well? Is there water here? How much moisture is in the air? How much rain does this area see? Right?
Right.
What is the square mileage that you're dealing with? Or how much acreage? Do you have trees? Right? Do you have flowers? What type of flowers do you have? Are there any pests or things like snakes or what have you? So if you start to have, animals, if you start to have certain crops, do you run the risk of, these things eating what you produce? Again,
Yeah.
the usefulness of the land can hit a level of diminishing returns if you're not able to exact the amount of usefulness that you would like from it because of other issues that may be prevalent. So that's a big
Right.
thing that you want to look into when you look for land. So it's so interesting. I'm very excited, inshallah, we get brother back on, because just the bit that we've been able to kind of plumb and kind of pull out, it's definitely been rewarding just to kind of stay on and kind of talk about this amongst ourselves.
For sure. I mean, and I appreciate that, bro, too, because the useful land, like you said before, we really have to do a better job at education, right? Education is so important when it comes to properly getting the best out of what your environment can do in terms of growing food and feeding your family, what have you. Matter of fact, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that a man isn't truly a man unless he has land. Straight up.
Say that again.
I said the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that a man isn't truly a man unless he has land and is able to provide for his family with that land. And he's not saying that you're not a man, but you can be more of a man if you had land. And that's my goal, that's Jabril's goal, to have land of our own to provide for our families to the highest extent that Allah wants us to provide for our families. So with that being said, family, we are 55 minutes. I felt like we did the program.
Somewhat. I feel like we did a good job. Praise be to Allah. Thank you
for those who. Yes, sir. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just saying thank you for those who hung out with us. As we kind of talked a bit about this topic, we appreciate your time and patience. Mm-hmm. If you enjoyed, if you stuck it out, put a black fist in the comment section.
Yes,
we are excited to have you back when Dr. Rizzi comes on. And this has been great. Time actually flew by, and we got to that 8:55, 9 o'clock time frame that we wanted to get to. So back to you, bro. I know you were saying something.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for those who would like all the links to everything we talked about in tonight's program, just go ahead and look in the description on YouTube and in the caption on Facebook. All the links, the final call, the self-improvement, the River City Market, the Ministry of Agriculture, all of those things are in, all those links are in the description. But family, if you'd like to reach out to Dr. Ridgely for anything related to the Ministry of Agriculture, his contact information is right there. But once again, we will be back. Matter of fact, next week's guest, we're having meteorologist Sister Naima Kushmer back on the program. And we're going to be talking about who makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes, and the science of snowstorms and all the winter calamities we've dealt with over the past couple of weeks. So definitely tap in for that. Also, too, if you'd like to donate to the STEM Files, man, we're just a Cash App away. The STEM Files on Cash App, or text that number 770-695-7912 for other methods if you'd like to support what we bring to your screen.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
Family. So
if I may,
go ahead, bro.
I'm sorry, if I may, real quick, just a quick shout out in terms of endorsements, donating. I would like to give a personal shout out to our parents, right? My mother, father, brother, Cousin Kimberly for their consistent donations to the STEM Files, Sister Kabila for her donation to the STEM Files.
Yes.
Shout outs to members of the Al Kabir Squad, the FOI in Delaware Valley, Brother Josh X, Brother Nas X, Brother Anthony X for their consistent donating to the STEM Files, and all those who take the time to watch and believe that we're doing something of value to give to us so that we can keep up what we're doing and expand. We appreciate and don't take lightly anything that you do. And we pray that you stick with us, continue to share. And like you said, when you support, you're obligated to, speak and say how you feel. So if there's some things you'd like us to do, some comments or opinions you have. We welcome those, as we're always striving to improve, because
don't
we are
hold
told,
back.
right? Self-improvement is the basis for community development. So we're trying to build our community.
Right.
So we got to self-improve.
Yes, family. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm eternally grateful. I'm glad we were able to stick with you guys for the last hour. But for those who are watching, come back Thursday, January 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, family? So peace and blessings, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the STEM Files. Peace.
Believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science.